Hey there watch enthusiasts, welcome back to the Steady Ticker. I'm Joe, one of your go-to friends when it comes to all things about luxury watches, and with me is...
Joel, your other go-to friend who's also passionate about luxury watches. In today's episode, we're going to explore something special that's been creating ripples in the watch community, the new Longines Hydroconquest GMT, and we're going to put it under the microscope, comparing it to its sibling, the original Longines Hydroconquest.
Well Joel, many may already know that Longines has a long-standing reputation in the luxury watch industry. Known for its Swiss craftsmanship and timeless design, the Hydroconquest collection in particular has been a favourite among dive watch enthusiasts, offering exceptional quality without breaking the bank. But today, our focus is on the GMT variant and how it stacks up against the original Hydroconquest.
As always, the devil's in the details. We'll be taking an up-close look at the Hydroconquest GMT's dial, movement, and overall build quality. Does it live up to the Longines reputation? Is it truly a budget-friendly alternative to some of the more expensive GMT watches out there?
And here's the twist. We'll be drawing comparisons with its sibling, the original Longines Hydroconquest, to see where the GMT version excels and where it might fall short in comparison.
Yeah, Joe, you're absolutely right. When it comes to the variations in the Longines Hydroconquest GMT lineup, there is no shortage of choices to suit your style and preferences. Let's break it down a bit more.
Definitely. Actually, one of the standout options is the black-faced version on the rubber strap. It's an absolute stunner, and there's something about that rubber strap that gives it a rugged and aggressive look, making it perfect for those who appreciate a sporty aesthetic.
And if you're a fan of NATO straps, Longines has got you covered. They offer this watch with NATO straps, which not only add versatility, but also bring a pop of color to your wrist. Besides a green dial that adds a vibrant touch, there's also that intriguing brown dial option that might not be for everyone, but it's certainly unique.
That's true, Joel. The brown dial is a bit of a departure from the more traditional dive watch colour schemes, and it could be a love it or hate it choice, but that's the beauty of having multiple variations. There's something for every taste.
And to add to the variety, there are other variations to choose from within the Hydroconquest GMT lineup. Different dials, straps, and even case materials are available, allowing you to find the perfect combination that suits your personality and style.
But it's worth noting that unlike the original Hydroconquest, where you had different size options, the Hydroconquest GMT seems to be a bit more standardized in terms of size. So if you're looking for a specific case size, you might need to consider that when making your choice.
Now let's proceed to the basic spec comparison between the new Longines Hydroconquest GMT and its sibling, the original Longines Hydroconquest. And one of the first noticeable differences is the thickness.
That's right, Joel. The GMT model measures at approximately 12.9mm in thickness, whereas the original Hydroconquest comes in at a slimmer 11.9mm. This slight difference in thickness is primarily due to the extra complication you get with the GMT functionality.
Absolutely. Now, we know that personal preferences do play a significant role in watch choices. For those who prefer slimmer timepieces, the original Hydroconquest might have an edge due to its sleeker profile. However, it's crucial to look at the whole picture, as we'll discuss shortly.
And speaking of the whole picture, let's talk about the weight of these watches. With its GMT functionality and no links removed, I took a guess that the GMT model would weigh at around 180 to 185 grams.
Your guess was on spot, Joe. The new Longines Hydroconquest GMT indeed weighs approximately 180 grams. Now here's where it gets interesting. Let's compare that to the original Longines Hydroconquest.
You'd think that because the GMT model is slightly chunkier, it would be noticeably heavier, but surprisingly, the original Longines Hydroconquest weighs in at 181 grams, just 1 gram heavier than the GMT model. It's a testament to Longines engineering that even with the added complexity of the GMT complication, they've managed to keep the weight almost identical.
So folks, while the GMT version might be a tad thicker, it's practically on par in terms of weight with the original Hydroconquest. It's these subtle details that make comparing these two watches so intriguing.
Next, let's dive into the case and bracelet of both the new Longines Hydroconquest GMT and the original Longines Hydroconquest, as they have some intriguing differences and upgrades.
Absolutely, Joe. First, let's take a closer look at the bracelet. The GMT model features a 3-link bracelet that tapers elegantly, with quite an aggressive taper to be precise. Now, where it stands out is in the clasp.
Indeed, Joel. In the original Longines Hydroconquest, you had a simple flap and a deployment clasp. However, in the GMT version, Longines has stepped up the game. You get a safety latch, which adds a touch of security, but the real gem here is the micro extension system at the bottom. This feature allows you to make precise adjustments for a perfect fit. It not only looks premium, but also ensures comfort and convenience.
And the combination of brushed and polished surfaces on the bracelet sides really accentuates its lines, giving it a fantastic overall look and feel. They've truly nailed it in the bracelet department with the GMT model.
Moving on to the case. Both watches are crafted from stainless steel, which ensures durability and a classic aesthetic. However, there are some subtle differences. When you examine the crown and lugs of the original Hydroconquest, you'll notice a more prominent and sharp peak on the crown guards.
That's right, Joe. In the new Longines Hydroconquest GMT, they've made a significant change by tapering and curving the crown guards, making them less aggressive and less prominent. This alteration serves a practical purpose too. When you bend your wrist, it doesn't dig into your skin as much, contributing to a more comfortable wearing experience.
But note that both watches feature a screw-down crown for added water resistance, and the outer side of the crown is polished and proudly displays the Longines logo.
Now let's get into the exciting part, the face of these watches and all of the aesthetic details that make them look so aggressive and modern to me. First off, you can't ignore those gnarly teeth around the bezel, and turning that bezel? Easy as pie. I mean, this watch is technically a diver that laughs in the face of 300 meters of water resistance. So even with those big gloves on, you turn it effortlessly. And listen to that satisfying click. It's like music to my ears.
And let's not forget that this watch features a ceramic bezel. The numbers on that bezel pop out in stark white against the black background, creating a striking contrast that's not only practical, but also looks absolutely brilliant. If you're feeling adventurous, there are different colours to choose from, like brown, green, or blue.
You've nailed it, Joe. The bezel has been brought in a bit closer and made a tad thicker compared to the previous Hydroconquest. This gives the dial more depth, making it look like those aggressive headlights on a sports car. It's like the watch has its eyebrows closed together, giving it an intense look.
Speaking of the dial, it's sleek and black with those eye-catching orange accents. The GMT hand boasts an orange arrow, and there are GMT numbers circling the style, drawing your eye right into the heart of the watch. It's like having a BMW M Sport with red trim, adding that extra touch of aggression and flair.
Now here's something I've just thought of, and maybe our viewers can help me out here. The reason for the added thickness might be to make the dial sit lower, giving it that more, well, masculine appearance. I guess that's the word I'm looking for.
Diving deeper into the dial, you'll find a date window at 3 o'clock, highlighted by a white border. Now I'm usually a 6 o'clock date window guy, but I have to admit, it looks clean and readable. No complaints here.
And let's talk about those hour markers. The non-GMT version of the Longines Hydroconquest to my left has big, bold numbers, a bit more playful, but this GMT version is all about clean lines. It features a triangle at 12 o'clock, a circle at 6 o'clock, and a 9 o'clock marker. Those indices are all filled with superluminova, and the polished steel hands pop wonderfully against the black dial.
The lume, by the way, is in a gorgeous blue hue, and the dot on the bezel makes it a fully functional diver. I've seen brighter looms, sure, but for this price point, it's pretty darn good.
Now here comes one of the coolest features of this watch, the outer disc that displays the GMT time with those funky numbers. The top half is black with orange numerals, but when it hits the 6 o'clock mark, it switches to a darker grey, slicing the numbers in half to create a different colour effect. It's like the dial is playing with colours, and it's just visually captivating.
Exactly, Joel. It's like the watch has a split personality in the best way possible. It makes transitions from orange to grey and then back to orange as soon as you move around the dial. It's like a little piece of art on your wrist. It's these subtle yet mesmerizing details that make this GMT version of the Longines Hydroconquest stand out.
And let's not forget the hands-on approach Longines took with the hour and minute hands. They are polished to perfection and they glide gracefully across the dial. The overall legibility of this watch is excellent, which is crucial for any timepiece, especially one designed for diving or world travel.
That's right, Joel, and when you combine all these dial elements, the bold hour markers, the vivid lume, the creative GMT disc, and the polished hands, you get a watch that not only looks the part, but also delivers on functionality.
And before we move on, let's not forget the fun factor. Watches should be exciting, and this GMT model brings that fun and adventurous spirit to your wrist. It's like having a piece of high-performance machinery on your arm, ready for whatever life throws at you.
That's true, Joel. So whenever you're tracking multiple time zones or just enjoying the visual delight of this dial, the new Longines Hydroconquest GMT certainly knows how to make a statement.
Now let's talk about the movement of the new Longines Hydroconquest GMT. We've covered a lot of exciting details, but the heart of any watch is its movement.
Absolutely. The movement powering this watch is an automatic caliber L844. It's a self-winding mechanical movement that beats at a frequency of 25,200 vibrations per hour, and it boasts a substantial power reserve of up to 72 hours.
And don't forget that GMT hand, Joe. It's a handy feature for travelers or anyone who needs to keep an eye on multiple time zones simultaneously.
So, while there have been numerous upgrades to this watch, from the face to the bezel, the crown guards, the crown, the bracelet, and the clasp with that fantastic macro extension system, it's essential to note that with all these improvements comes a slightly higher price point.
It's a small trade-off for the added features and quality that you get in return.
Now let's dive into the topic that's always on everyone's mind when it comes to watches, the price point. The new Longines Hydroconquest GMT comes in at £2,550 with the bracelet. Now technically you could opt for the rubber strap, which might bring down the price a little bit, but let's focus on what we've got here.
It's really interesting where Longines has positioned themselves with this pricing. They're not quite as expensive as the high-end luxury brands like Rolex, which are on a whole other level, and they're about £1,000 behind a certain Swiss powerhouse we all know and love.
That's right, Joel, and when you look at the competition in this price range, particularly Oris, the new Longines Hydroconquest GMT stands out. In my opinion, it's better designed, more comfortable to wear, and not as bulky as some of its competitors.
I couldn't agree more, Joe. Longines seems to have drawn inspiration from the big players, taking what works from iconic watches like the Rolex Submariner and putting their own unique Longines twist on it.
So folks, when you think about what you're getting, the quality, the features, the design, and you consider the price, it's clear that Longines has created a killer watch that offers exceptional value for money.
And that's a wrap for today's adventure into the world of the new Longines Hydroconquest GMT.
We hope you enjoyed exploring all the exciting aspects of this watch with us. From its sleek design to its impressive movement and competitive price, it's truly a standout timepiece.
So if you're thinking about adding a versatile and stylish watch to your collection, this Longines could be your perfect companion.
Want to hear more about watches? Hit the subscribe button below to support the Steady Ticker channel, and click the notification bell to instantly know about our new videos on luxury watches. See you in the next one.